Alrighty, welcome back, everybody. This is 21st Century Man. Thanks for clicking on the video again. Shout out to you, a 21st Century Man. Well, we're in distress right now. We're always in distress, pretty much. It's just a matter of masking it to some varying degree. It's a spectrum. Total distress, where you're like freaking out on the verge of going on a either psychological or drug induced some sort of alcohol binge. Don't have that much anymore, but we're like, hey, I'm gonna quit my job and rage, or just a f you, manic decisions. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna move halfway across the country and not tell anybody, because that's a right idea. So trust me, I've been there. That's on the far end of the spectrum. But then there's other, that's really not that. Because then you think, well, what's like getting arrested or institutionalized? So I've seen people do that too, or have that happen to them. So I guess that's the 10 on the spectrum of distress. I'm in the low digit numbers at the moment. But there is a certain amount of distress, and maybe you out there, dear listener, have come across this and feel the same way. But last night, got home from work, had a terrible day, stressed about, am I going to lose my job over some dumb thing? Because there's a lot of people just getting fired. Left and right. We have so much turnover at that place. They give you a couple chances, and if you're not working as many hours, or if if you're not available all the time for them, they'll just axe you. You're gone. And especially if you're new, there's just not a whole lot of leeway, because they can just, again, they got people coming in all the time. Hey, can I have a job? Like every day I talk to somebody looking, either a retired person or a young person, or just somebody like a 21st century man, desperate in need of a paycheck. So they'll put a posting up and they'll get plenty of applicants. They can sort through, they can see how much experience you have. How much experience do you have working a job that pays you $14.35? And that's after tips. If you better get to those, it's actually $11, but then the tips get you to 14. And if the tips don't get there, which we hope they do, because then we the company have to pay you that difference. So better be out smiling and getting those tips, because then we got to pay you, and we don't want to do that. Anyways, so I came home distressed and existentially curious, existentially wondering, for lack of a better term on the spot here. Driving home, what am I doing? Where's this going? I'm not going to be able to retire, blah, 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 blah. The loop of these thoughts, where you start going down the rabbit hole in your own brain. And it's kind of amazing, because then I'm operating a vehicle at the same time. Just perfectly fine. Honestly, those are the moments where I'm driving the most safe. It's just a robotic experience. Like, brake now, there's 100 feet in front of me, instead of when I'm driving like a maniac wanting to get home because I got some game I want to watch or whatever, some stupid thing. I'm hungry, so I'm going to drive like a maniac. Go through the gears in my car that's already about to bust at any second. Those are the moments where I'm not driving safely. But the moments where I am driving very safely is where I'm not even aware that I'm driving, because I'm down the rabbit hole. I am completely in my own head, and it serves a purpose. It's my psyche, whatever psychological concept is trying to get me aware of, like, hey man, this isn't going to keep working. We gotta switch course. But at the end of the tunnel, at the rabbit hole, you start digging and digging and digging and digging. You then realize, though, there's no way out. There's no avenue to go a different course. Or if there is, it's going to take a lot of risk. It's going to take money. It's going to take time. It's going to take, in my case, probably relying on other people all of a sudden that probably don't want to be relied on, because why would you? They have their own problems, etc., etc. So then, you're down the rabbit hole and you realize there's no way out of this thing. And then that's when you start to get desperate. And I think that's when the depression kicks in, and I'm not an expert on depression as a 21st century man, other than my own daily experience of varying degrees of depression, which is also a spectrum. You're always sitting at a nice 2 or 3, 4, that's always simmering. But you can mask it with some things, or you can make it part of your personality, which is what I did for many years. And really, as a 21st century man talking into a microphone, I'm not ashamed to say that is my part of my personality. That's what I'm doing right now. If you meet me in public right now, 21st century man, you can tell I'm depressed. Most of the times. Sometimes I can hide it. Sometimes I'm in a good mood. I can push that down to a nice 1 or 2 on the depression scale. If you ask me about my life or anything, you ask me about current events or whatever, you'll tell very quickly. Oh, he's depressed. He's a little depressed. So I got plenty of experience of it, even in the higher degrees where I couldn't get out of bed necessarily, and I was using substances to get through the day to help my brain be able to, I don't know, even just not off myself, unalive myself, for lack of a better term. Please, algorithm, don't hurt me for that. I have to bleep that. Anyways, so I have plenty of experience of this phenomenon we call depression. So I was dipping my toe into it the other night, and I think a lot of it is just a severe lack of hope. I don't know if that's clinically the correct way of describing depression, but it makes sense to me. When you're in the rabbit hole of your own thoughts, of your own decision making, you look around at your life and you feel a lack of hope, I think depression sets in. I think that's what it is. Because, I've used to be very depressed. A year or 2 ago, I was extremely depressed. But I had avenues out. It was like, okay, I'm going to move across the country and start anew. That was my out. When I'd go down the rabbit hole realizing, and I'd look around at my opportunities as a 21st century man, that was my way out. Right? That kept me going in the literal sense of the word, rather than doing what the word I can't say. And that's just the truth. But here I am, a year or 2 down the rabbit hole, and what's the outlet now? I don't know. There is one. I already described it to you. It's starting over again. It's moving back home with mom again, so I don't have to worry about rent on a monthly basis. I'm already locked into this lease for the next 10 months of my life, though. But that's where I'm at, where it's like, well, maybe 8-10 months from now, I'll maybe get out of the lease early, or I'll tell my roommate he needs to find somebody else, and maybe he can get somebody before the lease ends so I can be off the hook for it for a month or 2. Or I'll just go back home and I'll just pay my rent from my mom's basement, which is a real 21st century man dilemma if I've ever heard one. That is, you either laugh or you cry. That's one of those moments. I guess I'm laughing today. That's a good sign. I ain't feel like crying. So, as a 21st century man, coming home from work and dipping my toe in the spectrum of depression, maybe getting to the 5 or 6 territory, which is dangerous territory, but it's doable. It's doable. It's not that big of a deal. I would just have to wake up the next morning and go to work again, so who cares? Not everyone, but a lot of people are depressed. It's, I find strange bedfellows at work, out and about. They're out there. We can talk about how crap our existence is, and how crap the existence is. And as I was dipping my toe into that, the end of the night, I finally got to the end of the night, spiraling thoughts, negative thoughts about myself. Just laying in bed. Maybe I was watching a soccer game, just passing the time, waiting, twiddling my thumbs for the next shift to end. I fed myself. I bathed myself, so I was doing okay on the depression spectrum. And towards the end of the night, as a 21st century man, I'm sure a lot of you can relate. You are too awake to go to bed, but you're tired, but you want to go to bed. You just want these thoughts to end. And the best way to do that is just go to sleep. All right, let's start again tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll feel better tomorrow. Time passes. Time heals all wounds, as they say. And there's a certain website or a collection of websites or a genre, we'll say. The ladies of the internet, we'll call them, are there to always help you, especially if you're a 21st century man and completely alone. There's no woman in your life. There's no prospects of women in your life. But there are prospects of women in your life, and they're on your phone screen. It's a beautiful thing. And after you, what should we call it, shake hands with the governor. That's a millennial Steam joke, who's a YouTube channel I follow, and someone I'm probably copying, and I hope I'm not copying by doing this channel. Shout out to him, a 21st century man. His content is different, hopefully. If you're listening to Millennial Steam, I don't want to copy you. I respect you. You're doing the thing. And he calls it shaking hands with the governor, which is very funny. I need to think of a different term, but I don't have one in the moment that the algorithm won't, demonetize. I can't just come out and write and say it. But you get to the end of the night and you gotta just shake hands with the governor. It helps you sleep. That's just honest. And it helps the thoughts too, right? There's a soothing aspect to it. We don't need to explain this. Dear listener, you know. It don't need to be explained. So I was reaching the end of the night, we'll say. The cope. I needed to cope a little bit. I needed to get to sleep quicker. I couldn't just wrestle around in bed. The AC's blasting on me. They got fans going on me, but I'm hot. I'm agitated, and it's just like, all right, this game's over. Let's shake hands with the governor and hopefully go to bed, and tomorrow will happen. So I go to the website that shall not be named, and I get this notification that pops up, and it says, I've been getting these notifications where you got to say you're 18, which is hilarious. Like the government being like, we need to regulate this stuff. We need to crack down on this stuff. We got interest groups coming at us being like, this is unregulated. This is ridiculous. My children are watching this. Yada, 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 yada. Do something. And they're like, all right. We're going to put a button with a bunch of fine print that no one's going to read, and it's going to say, are you over 18? Yes. Or if you're under 18, click no, and you can't enter the website. All right, so that's recently been there. It's come up over the years. I've been at this long enough as the 21st century man to remember. But it's been there for the last couple, I don't know, weeks or months. It all blurs together. Who cares? I click it without even thinking. And yes, I'm over 18 as a 21st century man. So yeah, I can do this legally. If the government is listening, I am legally obligated. I'm not obligated. I am legally not required. I'm legal. I can't think this morning. What's a good turn of phrase there? I can do it. I, a 21st century man, am old enough to enter this website. So I entered this website. And I click on it, or I attempt to, and then, most of the time I have no issues. It's a quick in and out most of the time, 10, 15 minutes, let's move on. I'm not here for the long game. I'm not here for hours on end as a 21st century man. I feel bad for you guys out there that are on those for hours and hours and hours. Like, that sucks. I don't have that affliction. I'm more, let's shake hands with this governor. Let's make some deals, baby. Let's get this over with. Let's make the deal. I'm shaking hands with the governor. 15 minutes later, I got what I needed, and I'm out the door. I'm out the door, hopefully in my dreams. But this particular evening, I was already having a bad day. It says, the notification pops up, but it says, did you know you are going to lose access to this unless you provide a state provided identification or whatever, basically your driver's license? You have to, and I'm not reading the fine print, that's like the subheading, and it's like, you have 10 days until this comes into law, and I'm like, what, huh? You guys need my ID before I can, and it's not somebody who's IDing you at the bar, and you give them the ID, and they look at it, and they give it back to you. That's not how this works. You're punching in numbers. I don't know if there's some number on there, if I got to take a picture of it. I don't know what it is, but it's telling me, hey, we need your ID in the future or you can't go on this website. And I'm like, immediately, a little bit of a panic. A little bit of a panic. Not panicked enough that I read the fine print. Panic enough in my thoughts where I then, okay, I got 10 days, but I'm going to keep on going. Yes, I'm moving on. I got other things to worry about in the moment. So I got to shake hands with the governor. You can't wait on that. Shake hands with the governor now. And so, I shake hands. The duty is done. And then the thoughts really start hitting me. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not giving them my identification. I can't. That's insane. Like, they're going to know. Not that I don't know. Maybe I'm just being paranoid. Nowadays, everyone has my identification, but it just felt like, is this the moment where I really commit to not doing this anymore? Is this the moment where I stop going to this website and I find an even shadier website? I guess. I don't know. It made me think. And I'm still thinking about it. I need to just go back to the website and read the fine print, because maybe I'm getting something wrong, but it's telling me, hey, you got to have an ID to shake hands with the governor now. and I know you can probably find it elsewhere, but I've been going to this website for years. Come on. I gotta show you my ID. Don't you know? I've been doing it for over 10 years now. Am I not grandfathered in? Come on. I know I don't give you guys any money, which is kind of insane if you think about it, right? Shouldn't I have to pay for this? And maybe that's their grand scheme going forward. I don't know. Do you have to show your ID to get a certain blank fans.com account? Maybe. I've never as a 21st century man done that, because I don't have the money to, basically. And, yeah. No, if I did have a bunch of money, I guess I probably would. If I had the money that some guys have, I guess I'd probably just do that. But seriously, I just can't afford it. I'd feel bad if I had to pay $5 for this every time to shake hands with the governor. I guess I just wouldn't anymore. Or, I guess you'd have to just get into your own head about it or whatever, and go back to the olden days, or find some old school style back to the print. We have to go back to print to find some in the woods somewhere, in some dumpster, or in some relative's house that just died. I had to go to like a storage unit. Storage Wars edition, 21st century man looking for print style, you know what? So I can shake hands with the governor. Just looking around, they open the storage unit. I'm just looking for like milk crates where there's like magazines. That's my only. No one wants this one. It's just stacks of books, and yeah, but there might be some magazines in the back. This is the hot spot. This is the gold mine. So you don't want the one with a bunch of furniture and they had a bunch of memorabilia just completely out in the open. It was just, that one's going to be, you don't want that one in 21st century man? No. I want the one with books stacked up. You can kind of see papers, loose papers. There's a pretty good chance it's in there.